Hey Gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and that is Toyota's answer to people who think they need a big, rugged, off-road three-row SUV, but really want to move around people in comfort and have lots of storage space too. That is the 2023 Toyota Sienna XLE Woodland Edition. Yes, this minivan has over half an inch of increased ground clearance. And in this video, I'm going to take you on a tour. Stay tuned. All right, Gearheads, there's a lot to get into with this minivan, but before I do, I want to say a huge thank you to Toyota for delivering it to us to test for you for a full week here on the channel, give you our thoughts and impressions. But since I've got the hood already propped up with the prop rod, I can talk about what motivates this three-row people hauler. This is Toyota's 2.5 liter four-cylinder mated to not one, not two, but three electric motors. So this being the all-wheel drive version, we get two electric motors up front and one powering the rear wheels. There is no physical connection between the front and the rear wheels, so no drivetrain going back there or drive shaft going back there, anything like that. But yes, three electric motors on this one, an electronic continuously variable transmission, 245 combined horsepower, and the only torque number Toyota actually provides is the torque of the gas engine itself, which is 176 pound-feet of torque. There's definitely more than that here in this one. So yeah, all that turns out a very respectable 35 estimated city MPG, 36 on the highway, and 35 combined. All Toyota Sienna minivans are hybrid models, so all get that same powertrain, but the main differentiation is if you get front or all-wheel drive, and that's the biggest determining factor in fuel economy as well. They do not offer a plug-in hybrid, just their traditional hybrid powertrain with the sealed nickel metal Hydride battery. You know, Toyota has been a leader in the hybrid arena since the Prius really took off, and that is the same kind of system we're seeing here. This is the second Sienna we have tested here on the channel. The last one was a little over a year ago in the Platinum trim. This is the more common XLE trim, but in the special Woodland edition. So this is the more rugged off-road version, and like I said in the intro, yes, it does get over half an inch of increased ground clearance. So we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. This being the XLE, we get the XLE grille. Familiar to anyone that has driven an XLE trim, Camry, Avalon, Sienna, you get a lot of plastic grille up front, and it works fairly well in this Woodland edition because everything is blacked out, and then we get this special cement paint color. So I think it works out very nicely. We get LED headlights, LED turn signals, LED running lights, LED all the things up front here. And then, yes, because all Toyota Siennas are hybrids, we do get the blue outlined Toyota badge right there. No 360 cameras on this one, but we do get front parking sensors, so that is a nice touch. And coming around here, you can really see that extra ground clearance on this Woodland edition. It really does sit up taller than your traditional Sienna, and I didn't really notice it until I spent a little time with it, but it does sit noticeably taller than other Sienna models. Coming down here to the wheels and tires, we get these nice alloy 18-inch wheels wrapped in Bridgestone Turanza tires. They are 235/60 R18 Bridgestone Turanza tires wrapped around these polished alloy 18-inch wheels. Rather nice look. And then you can get a better look at the very special cement paint color on this one. It's kind of a flat gray. It's not metallic, but it's not matte either. So just a very cool cement gray. I think it works very nicely. And then, being an XLE model, we do get passive entry here on the doors. But one of my favorite features here on the side is marked by these two white stickers that if you owned this vehicle, you would absolutely take them off. But they're here to demonstrate exactly how you can get in to the second and third rows because they are kick to open. So you can either kick or use your key fob, or use the button, or use the handle here on this one. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you, just kick right under there, one quick pass of your foot, and that opens the electronically opening, sliding rear doors. We will talk more about interior here in just a second, but of course, do one more kick, and that closes them back. The styling here on the side does remind me a lot of the traditional Highlander, not so much the Grand Highlander, with that body line that goes up and over the rear hips. And those body lines also remind me of the Toyota Supra. So there are some family resemblances, even with their two-seat sports car here on the Toyota Sienna. The back looks kind of Supra-ish, kind of Camry-ish, but definitely a minivan, big, tall people mover for sure here on this one. Being the Woodland edition, we do get a lot of blacked out trim on this, blacked out badging. So that all-wheel drive badge, the Sienna badge, the Toyota badge, and the XLE hybrid badge are all blacked out on this Woodland edition, which gives it a nice understated look with all the gray paint on this one as well. You may be noticing the trailer hitch receiver down here. That allows for 3,500 pounds of max towing on this one. So rather nice, can tow a small camper maybe, or a couple jet skis, something to have fun out at the lake. We do get a power opening rear hatch on this one. No kick to open on this one. That is reserved to the sliding doors, but that opens up a very spacious rear cargo area with their stow and fold 3-row seats. So I will go ahead and say the space right here behind the third row is 33.5 cubic feet. Take into consideration a very popular 3-row SUV in the segment, the Kia Telluride. That only gives you 21 cubic feet of space behind the third row. And something even bigger, like a Chevy Tahoe, only gives you around 25 cubic feet behind the third row. So this being a 35 mpg highway cruiser, city cruiser, with more rear storage space than something like a Chevy Tahoe, really speaks to what this vehicle is good at. You fold these second or third row seats down, and you get a respectable, for the minivan class, 75.2 cubic feet. Take out the second row sliding captain's chairs, and you get a 101 cubic foot storage area. But I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly what it takes to fold these seats down and put them into place. Simply pull the handle here, and everything just kind of folds down into place. Now, these are not my favorite fold into the floor third row seats because you can see there's still a lot of room around this. We did have the Chrysler Pacifica not that long ago with their stow and go third row seats, and those just tipped backwards and gave a much cleaner look back here. This definitely tells me that there's going to be a lot of stuff kind of falling into cracks and crevices, but you do get these little flaps here to help prevent that as much as possible. When these seats aren't in use, your seatbelts just kind of rest here. There are no attachment points or clips for them back here. And then we do get a little bit of power back here, 120 volt, 1500 watt power inverter back here. Go ahead and show you because the lighting is good. We do have USB-A and USB-C ports on the passenger side, not over here on the driver's side, but we do get a auxiliary plug-in for headphones back here in the back with their own volume controls. Before we completely leave the back, I did want to show you just how easy it is to put these seats back up. So simply pull that handle there, puts it back in place, pull the lever here, and you have the seat back in place. And that works very simply for both sides of that 60-40 split bench. And then your headrest flip up into place. While I'm back here, I will also call out there are some bag hooks for shopping bags, whatever the case may be back here. And there are top tethers all the way across. And we'll talk more about the interior here in just a second, but I want to talk about this hatch. I'm 5'10", I'm like the average American male, and I can just get under this hatch. This is as high as it opens. So this is a rather low opening hatch, and if you're on any type of slope or incline, you better watch out not to bump your head. Very interesting just how low this opens. That does work for the power close button right here, because even some vertically challenged people can reach it just fine, but that is how you close the back hatch. Before we hop into this one, I did want to show you the Toyota key. Nothing too special here, but it is unique in that you can open the sliding doors simply by pressing the button. You really had to press and hold, and you can do both of these sliding doors and get that nice pass-through shot right there. And you can also close them from the key fob as well. You just had to press and hold. Otherwise you get lock, unlock, and you get a hatch release. This does have remote start on it, but you have to do 1, 2, and hold on the third. And this being a hybrid, it doesn't exactly make a lot of noise. It just flashes the lights at you to let you know that it's on, but you don't really have to keep that key out. You can put it in your pocket or your purse because it is a proximity key. Coming up to the door here, you have lock, passive entry, unlock right here, and no passive entry back here. So these door handles are very close. It's very easy to unlock and open there. But one detractor for Toyota vehicles that I have seen is when you remote start them, as soon as you unlock them, it turns them off. So yes, the vehicle is now off, and here in a hot East Texas summer, it's going to get over 100 degrees today. That just doesn't work for a family vehicle when you want to remote start it and load the kid up without having to come actually start it and get in. I really wish Toyota's legal team would figure that out. They did on the 2023 Lexus RZ fully electric vehicle that we tested recently, but for some reason, not here in the Sienna. Before we hop in, I want to show you all the storage in the door. So you get this little cubby here, you get this shelf right here, you get this cubby down here with 2 bottle holders in that just by itself. We do have illuminated blue Sienna sill plates right here, 8-way positional, power positional driver seat, no memory seat on this one. And then this unique SofTex design specific to the Woodland trim, and this earth tone stitching that goes throughout the vehicle is a really nice touch. These are very comfortable seats, but let's go ahead and hop in and fire it up, because yes, it's early in the morning, but we are starting to get warm already. Simply put my foot on the brake, push the blue power button right here, and the vehicle comes to life, even if that 2.5 liter 4-cylinder does not. So just something to get used to if you're not used to driving hybrids or electric vehicles. It's just a little odd when the vehicle doesn't like roar to life in any way, shape, or form. But as we sit here, I am sure the engine will come on and off as needed. Over my left knee here, we have a few different buttons and panels here. So you can turn your power sliding door on and off. You can open your fuel door here, turn traction control off, automatic high beams, those power inverters, you can turn those on and off. And then your brightness control for your gauge cluster and your odometer trip reset. Get a little bit of storage right here. Not really big enough for a phone, maybe some change or a parking ticket, something like that. Get a nice air vent here, some nicely padded SofTex material up here with more of that stitching that continues on over behind the 9-inch infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay, but it is wired Apple CarPlay with a USB-A plug, no USB-C plug to interface with the infotainment system here in this one. So yes, 9-inch infotainment, wired Apple CarPlay, but it's still here. We get quad zone. Yes, 4-zone. That's like Mercedes-Benz level of luxury. Automatic climate controls here in this one. and heated front seats. No ventilated seats here in this XLE Woodland trim, but this whole interface feels like it came just out of the Toyota Tundra. It looks very familiar, and it rests underneath this infotainment screen, which can kind of cause a little bit of shade if you're not looking at it just right, I'll say that. The infotainment system on this is also Toyota's old infotainment, not their new in-house system that they're rolling out to all their other vehicles. It'll be nice if they update the screen size of this and to the newer software. I would really appreciate that here in this one. Put it in reverse, you only get a backup camera, no 360 camera in this one. And much like the Platinum trim that we had, the cameras themselves are not of the best quality. So this simply meets federal regulations. It doesn't do much more. It is, well, on the grainy side. I do like that we get a mechanical gear selector here versus some electronic dial or something like that. It's rather nice, and even though it is mechanical in nature, there is a whole lot of open space here underneath here for storage. You can see we've got our sunshade, but we also have a textured rubberized floor mat underneath here. We got some power underneath there as well. So a lot of neat storage options in this one. We have this shelf that runs across the entire front with a Qi wireless charger built in. That's great for road trips, snacks, throwing stuff up there. We get two cup holders here. You can see that's where I've got my phone currently resting. It's an iPhone 14 Pro Max. It doesn't quite fit as intended, I do believe. But yes, that is an intended phone holder. Two cup holders there. Nice little slot here that I could also rest my phone, though it's, again, a little on the large side. And then two more cup holders hidden underneath here. We get a rather good size center console with fixed and placed armrests here that are nicely padded. More storage over there. A very large damped glove box over here. So good storage all around, good comfort, all of that all the way around. Typical Toyota steering wheel here with button controls. Analog gauges with a small little helper screen there, not too bad. You can see we have over 400 miles of range left, and we've barely used any fuel in this one. I have been running this a lot because it is hot, and I am filming today, but we had over 550 miles on this one when we picked it up from Toyota in the DFW Metroplex. Otherwise, it is a rather nicely padded, SofTex wrapped steering wheel. And then the steering effort is really easy, but we'll talk more about that as we set off on the drive. Being a minivan, we do get some version of keeping tabs on who's riding behind us with this itty bitty little convex mirror that does a rather good job. It's just really shallow. I feel like they could have made a slightly larger mirror for this little section right here. It's just so small. Otherwise, we get buttons for our power doors or power hatch, and for our standard size sunroof right here with manual sunshade. So all that's really nice up here in the front. Nice luxuries. And you can see I've got plenty of room to go in this one. This is a manually tilt and telescoping steering wheel. And like I said, this seat is not a memory seat. So between me and my 5-foot wife, we're constantly moving back and forth. I really wish you could get a memory seat on this one. But we do not have that here on our tester. Before we move to the back seat, I did want to mention all your buttons and controls. Electronic parking brake, your electronic brake hold in traffic. You can turn EV mode on, which will prefer electric energy for as long as possible, but when that battery is depleted, it'll tell you that it can no longer do it. And then you get your drive mode switch. There are 4 different drive modes: normal, eco, and sport, and then EV. So several different drive modes you can filter through there. All your cruise control buttons are right here. It is a fully adaptive cruise control with lane keep and the like. But that's enough here in the front seat. Let's go pop in that back seat and see what the space is like back there. So I already showed you how you can kick to open these back doors, but there are other ways to open them as well. You can simply pull the handle all the way and start the door in its motion. You can also push that black button and that will open the power sliding door. And this is just an embarrassment of space back here. If you're really only using 2 rows, the Toyota Sienna really is one of the better vehicles in the segment, and that includes 3-row SUVs because of these super slide 2nd-row captain's chairs. Let's just go ahead and pop in and we'll talk about them because there is just so much room. I'm going to go ahead and close the door as well, just showing you all the different ways that you can interact with this vehicle with the doors. While I'm here, while I'm looking at the door, we do get manual sunshades here on the 2nd row only in our Woodland trim, but it's rather nice. Does a good job of covering most of the window, so that's nice. You do get your window controls right here, and they just slide down, roll down quite a bit. It is a nice open area for rear seat passengers, and then you do get these nice rubberized handles for getting in as well. We do have map pockets on the backs of both front seats. On the back of the center console, we have USB-A, USB-C, another power inverter right there, and an HDMI port, because we do have the 1080p rear entertainment system here in this one. Unfortunately, with that screen down, the driver is not going to be able to see because we do not have a rear camera mirror in this one. 2 more cup holders on the back of the center console. We get 1 in each door. And then coming around to the passenger seats, there are these mesh cup holder pockets on the insides of these back seats as well. And if you have a child seat installed like we do, they come with 2 more. So tons of cup holders and storage space here in this one. But talking about space, like I said, this has the 2nd row super slide captain's chair. So I can come all the way up, which would really come in handy if you want to be able to reach your toddler in the back seat. And then I can go all the way to where I am bumping up to that back seat. I could probably go a little bit further if I actually had this 3rd row seat folded flat. But while I'm pulled back here, I will go ahead and show you. I didn't call it out up front because it's more easily seen back here. In the Woodland trim, we do get these rubber all-weather floor mats because, again, if you are, out camping, out adventuring in your all-wheel drive minivan, you're going to be bringing some dirt in with you. And these things, you can see they have a groove around them, and they are deep enough that they're going to catch and hold mud, water, dirt, whatever you might bring in with you. There are 3 different pieces, so you've got one for each seat section and one for that center section as well. So very nice there. And then I'm going to go ahead and slide forward just a little bit to a somewhat normal seating position. I've still got plenty of room back here because I'm going to come around to me and show you the amount of headroom. I'm a little tight right now, but these are reclining seats, so that is a nice touch and definitely opens up some headroom. That also gives me a nice view of the dual zone rear climate controls back here. So yes, quad zone climate in this one, and it is centrally mounted, so you don't have to fight over who's sitting over by the controls or bother the person in the seat like some manufacturers do, where they put the controls on one side. And they are roof mounted vents, ceiling mounted vents. I appreciate that. Again, talking about hot East Texas summers, having rear facing car seats and center console mounted vents or no rear vents at all really makes it hot for kiddos back here in the back. So these ceiling mounted vents do a great job of getting air down to whoever's in these 2nd row seats, whether they're in a forward facing seat or rear facing seat. So popping out, I did want to show you exactly where I had that seat set and how I had it set when I was sitting in it. I went ahead and moved Tucker's seat all the way to the back just to show you here in a second just how much room there is back there. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how easy it is to get into that 3rd row. So you have this lever right here for recline, And if you pull that up with nobody in it, the seat bottom actually rises and the seat back folds forward, and you can simply slide that seat all the way forward. Now that does allow the seat to go even further forward than when someone is sitting in it, but unfortunately cannot be done when a child seat is in place. Again, if you want to see me install that, be sure and hit that subscribe button so you'll see our family review where I do that installation later this week. Because these seats do slide so much, the seat belts are integrated into them. But let's go ahead and get into this third row, which you can see is 60-40 split, and I currently have this portion in its most upright, but we have these little straps here for reclining it here from the front side of the seat. Now I've slid this seat back into what would be a comfortable position for me at 5'10", so sitting behind myself back here in the third row, as long as whoever's in the second row is considerate and realizes that there's somebody behind them, there should be no problem with space back here. And you can see otherwise not too bad on the angle of my legs here. I am sitting a little bit closer to the ground, and this one a little less chair-like seating position back here in the third row. Talking about the seat being upright, yes, I'm hitting my head and I'm not exactly comfortable, but that is where this little strap over my shoulder comes in handy. These seats lay really far back, so I can get very comfortable back here, which, let's be honest, this is probably how I would ride, although reclining like this does cut into those 33 plus cubic feet of storage space behind this third row. But it is a really deep well, so it's all in packaging how you get people and stuff in here. I showed you earlier, but we do have an auxiliary port here with a volume knob. Same over there, and that is where the USB-A and USB-C ports are. No manual sunshades on this XLE Woodland trim, so just something to note that you have to go up to higher trims to get the shades back here. But we do get air vents back here in the third row, which is a nice touch on the outboard sides. And back here is where the air compressor noise is coming from. So I would say this is probably the noisiest seat in the house, the back passenger side seat. And you might have to yell a little bit to hear or be heard from the back row here in the Toyota Sienna. And then I did want to show you just how far these seats do come back with the third seat in place. So if you've got a lot of stuff stored back behind the seat or maybe in the seat too, you can have the seat all the way back and just gobs of legroom back here in the back. But I do believe that is enough talking about the inside of this minivan. Let's set out and see how it drives. Getting in and setting off in the Toyota Sienna XLE Woodland Edition. It's very easy to drive. It is a very comfortable vehicle to drive. I mentioned earlier that I picked this up from the warehouse in the DFW Metroplex and drove it back home to Tyler, Texas. And though I was getting out of a Lexus and into this, it was still a very comfortable ride, notwithstanding what I was comparing it to most recently. It rides very smoothly and very calmly down the road because it's a minivan. It's not an SUV. It's not meant to go rock crawling or do anything crazy like that. It is a comfortable 7-person people hauler, and it does that job and that mission very well. The ride, thanks to its longer wheelbase, the weight of that nickel metal hydride battery, and its all-wheel drive nature means it is a very comfortable vehicle and a very predictable vehicle to drive down the road. When starting it up, like I showed you earlier, that engine doesn't necessarily immediately roar to life because it is a hybrid that's going to use that electric motor at lower speeds, or those 3 electric motors, as is the case in this one. And that makes puttering around town a silent experience as well. Because it can run in full electric mode, the electric power steering in this is just that. It's an electronically powered steering. It is not off of the engine whatsoever. And it is a very light steering feel, but not like overly so where you feel like you have to drive with your fingertips. It's just very maneuverable when you are navigating a parking lot or the school pickup line, whatever the case may be. This is a very easy vehicle to drive at high speeds, low speeds, whatever the case may be. Toyota has thought it out. It is your typical Toyota reliable vehicle and solid build quality. I have not noticed any rattles, any major defects that would just drive me crazy on my 2-hour drive back from the Metroplex. I will note though that when that 2.5 liter 4-cylinder decides to turn on, you don't feel it, but you definitely hear it. So again, we have 3 electric motors powering the wheels on this, and that gas motor definitely chimes in when needed, but this is no race car for sure. This is a people hauler and a people mover more than anything. It does a fair job at getting up to speed. I think it's high 8-second 0 to 60, which is not going to be winning any awards or any drag races. And compared to the Chrysler Pacifica we had most recently, definitely feels a little on the sluggish side. That Pacifica was their version of a hybrid. It's the e-hybrid, the only plug-in hybrid on the market, where this is just your traditional standard hybrid. Don't have to plug it in. And that is the big key difference between these two systems. While that plug-in hybrid works excellently for the first 32 miles putting around town and would allow you to do that completely gas-free, this really is the better option for road tripping and doing long trips, because as we road tripped that Pacifica up Route 66 to Chicago and back, we saw high 20 mpgs, so 28, 29, when basically relying on the 3.6 liter V6 in that one and the hybrid powertrain. After that 32 miles of electric range was depleted, it essentially worked like this as a traditional hybrid. You just get that added benefit of being able to drive it exclusively on electrons for the first 32 miles. Whereas this really is the better all-around road trip option, because it gets 35 to 36 mpg depending on city or highway traffic situations. So that is very impressive for this one, and you don't have to worry about plugging it in or doing anything crazy to get the most out of it. You just drive it and drive it normally. In my time with this one, I'm seeing over 32. So not quite the 35, 36, but definitely better than the 28, 29 of that Chrysler Pacifica. The seating position in this one is very nice. You really do feel like you're the captain of a starship in this one. You get your bridge console here, which is very nice, your armrest here and on the door, and the visibility all around you is very good in this one. I've not had much of a problem, though if we put that screen down, this is completely useless. But otherwise, a very good, well thought out interior, great visibility, great driving position. I did not get uncomfortable in my drive back from the DFW Metroplex in this one, though these SofTex seats are a little on the warm side, especially without dark tinted windows. I'm kind of baking in the sun over here, and even with the air conditioning set at 68, though I don't have it cranked all the way up for filming purposes, I'm getting a little warm over here, and I really would wish for ventilated seats, which you can't get on this Woodland trim. We'd had to step up to that Platinum that we tested previously. But otherwise, this one is a fairly nice cruiser all the way around. But let's get to what this one is designed specifically for, and that's, Woodland adventures. At 6.9 inches of ground clearance, this thing is not going to rival the new Land Cruiser that we're getting from Toyota by any means, but will allow you to do some off-road adventuring if the situation calls for it. If you're planning on heading out to a remote campsite, 6.9 inches of ground clearance really isn't a whole lot on this one, and because of that trailer hitch on the back that allows for 3,500 pounds of maximum towing, even going up my 13-degree incline driveway does prove to be a little bit of a problem, and I'm constantly dragging that if I am not too careful, taking the perfect line up and down my own driveway. So this 6.9 inches of ground clearance is great and will allow you to do something more akin to driving down a dirt path like this without having to worry about whatever is underneath you completely tearing up the underside of your minivan. And because it's all-wheel drive with that electric motor driving the back wheels, you know that you've got traction in all sorts of situations, and the vehicle will do its best to get you out. You do have that instantaneous electric torque to maneuver you back there in the back if you lose traction up here in the front. So that's a nice touch as well. And then again, the electronically controlled power assisted steering in this is very loose and easy to maneuver even at slow speeds off the beaten path. This really is a good vehicle for 99% of the people who think they need a big 3-row bulky off-road SUV to do their next family adventure in. This thing is really capable even here in soft sand like I'm driving through right now. I am not hurting for traction at all in this Sienna Woodland edition, and I'm very impressed with its overall character both on-road and off. So, final thoughts here in the 2023 Toyota Sienna XLE Woodland edition. No, it's not going to win the Texas Auto Writers Off-Road Vehicle of the Year award, but it is capable of what 90 to 99% of customers really need, with 6.9 inches of ground clearance, a maximum tow rating of 3,500 pounds, very fuel efficient 4-cylinder hybrid powertrain, easy steering, and tons of room inside for real life adults, both in the first, second, and yes, even the third row of seats. Child safety latches in all of the back seats back there. This really is a practical vehicle for families. This is something that you should be looking at if you are needing a 3-row people hauler or just needing a bigger than your standard 2-row people hauler. This thing really can't be beat. And at a $51,000 window sticker, this one is right in the thick of it when it comes to pricing. It definitely could use a few more features, in my opinion. I kind of lament the lack of head-up display and the no ventilated seats. We really did enjoy our time in the Platinum trim, but for people looking for a more adventurous lifestyle, without just breaking the bank on fuel cost with a big thirsty 3-row SUV, the Toyota Sienna Woodland Edition may just be the one for you. If you liked this video and want to see more from us, go find us on all social media outlets: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com. You can also go check out our second channel, GT Premium Reviews, where we focus on premium luxury and high-end performance vehicles in true cinematic beauty. Definitely go give us a subscribe over there as well. Hit the subscribe button on this channel right here, and you will see our family review when it drops later this week, where Holly is behind the wheel, Tucker's in the back seat, and we actually install those child safety seats both in the second row and in the third row way back in the back. But as for me, behind the wheel of the 2023 Toyota Sienna Woodland Edition, until next time, gearheads, bye. But really needs to haul around people and stuff, and to people who think they need it. There's a lot to get into with this minivan. All Toyota Now, with only 6.9, okay, that's... I just need a dirt path. That is all I need. A dirt path.